Probably not the best solution. One solution, certainly, but not the best one.
That's a tourist from France visiting the town of Fuji-ko, Japan on Tuesday. He's standing outside of this popular Japanese convenience store, Lawson. And this particular location is something of a heavily trafficked hotspot for tourists. But people aren't necessarily coming all the way out to the entrance of this place just to get a nice shot of some customers trying to buy some gum or something. They're there to snap a picture of something like this. Yeah, that's Mount Fuji in the background, Japan's tallest mountain. The site described by the UNESCO World Heritage Convention as a sacred place and source of artistic inspiration, far in the background of a 7-Eleven competitor with deep roots in Ohio. Now, photos like these, of people standing in front of a near-perfect shot of Fujisan, have been made popular by influencers and social media types who want to check out what's called, with all due respect to Come and Go, the world's prettiest convenience store.
There is not that much very special here, to be honest. It's just a Lawson and the Mount Fuji in the background. I think there is probably a viral thing behind this picture, which for me, I don't think it is rational, because it's just a picture of a Lawson and the Mount Fuji.
And that, dear viewer, is what this little region has been grappling with. Tourists blocking sidewalks, taking photos in the street, wandering onto other people's property. There are signs in multiple languages urging people not to do this kind of stuff, and yet the crowds keep coming. This person here owns a nearby rice shop and says in Japanese, as is the fashion there, that tourists start taking photos as early as 4 a.m. and locals sometimes struggle to move their cars or even walk out into their own streets. And so, this town has come up with an innovative, high-tech solution to help ward off the hordes of tourists trying to stand before a majestic market. A black net. Yeah, these workers here are installing equipment that'll ultimately help support an 8-foot-tall, 65-foot-wide mesh net that's set to block out the view of Mount Fuji Lawson from the photo spot across the street.
I can understand why they want to do it. I think that tourism has really ramped up here in Japan from what we've seen. We've actually been in sort of 4 or 5 different places in Japan the last 2 weeks. There's a lot of tourism.
That's a tourist from the United Kingdom. Just one visitor among the many who's made a recent trip to Japan. After all, it's only been about a year since the country's pandemic border restrictions for tourists were fully lifted. And as Business Insider just noted the other day, everyone is visiting Japan thanks in part to a weak currency. Everyone here is a bit of an exaggeration. I've never been there. My ticket actually got canceled during the pandemic. And I've been filling my time since by making At The News Refresh YouTube videos like these with my editor Drew. Please subscribe. But the Japan National Tourism Organization claims last year the country saw more than 25 million visitors. And this year, it's expected to break 2019's pre-pandemic record number of 32 million visitors. And Japan isn't the only destination grappling with over-tourism. National Geographic notes it's an issue affecting locals and tourists alike around the world, contributing to long lines, clogging up heritage sites, and driving up costs. As we told you the other day here on your news refresh, right now Venice, Italy is trying to combat their over-tourism problem by testing out a €5 entrance fee. Yes, a €5 entrance fee to enter the city if you want to take a day trip. Of course, for those making the trek to Japan, whether it's to take advantage of a favorable exchange rate or merely a shipwreck's fate, not everyone is pleased to find that a giant net is about to block a selfie spot that tourists seem to enjoy.
If it is just about road safety, building barriers to avoid people stepping on the road and making it safer as well. But a wall to avoid pictures, I don't think it's the right solution.
Others are a bit more understanding, like our UK tourist here, who observes that cloudy weather means you can't even witness the mountain in the background on the day she spoke to the Associated Press there.
So I can see why for people who live and work here, why they might want to do something about that, just to deter the tourists a little bit. I noticed today that Mount Fuji's not even in the view and people are still taking pictures. So that's the power of social media, I think.
This owner of a nearby cafe notes that this town is actually built on tourism. And in spite of the net, there are plenty of other places you can take a nice photo, including in front of a different Lawson's convenience store. While this black mesh net won't be completed until later in May, even our French tourist notes that once a perfect glimpse of nature, juxtaposed with a perfect glimpse of a place to buy a soda, is blocked out by some good old-fashioned webbing, people of all walks of life should still be able to, observe a giant mountain.
The Mount Fuji is so huge and big that I'm pretty sure there are a lot of different spots here around the city. I think it's probably an overreaction of tourists as well.